Hi, I'm DK and this is Lore of Hashut guide. Burning Red is the first spell and one every Hashut sorcerer knows when recruited. It is a magic missile with a very long range of 300 meters, with the cost of 6 winds of magic. It also leaves a small vortex on the ground for 5 seconds. However, it's not very reliable. It moves, and often in the wrong direction, resulting in just a handful of kills on an infantry unit and not much damage overall. When overcasted, it fires 2 additional projectiles which do the same thing. The best way to use Burning Red is to overcast it whenever you can. Leaving 3 vortexes on the ground, it becomes way more efficient and can do way more kills on the low tier infantry units. If used correctly, it can do hundreds of kills if enemy units are blocked. Send your heroes in melee, let enemy infantry encircle them and hit them with rocks. Even casting on a single infantry unit, it pays its higher price in winds of magic. Burning Red can also be used later in the campaign, as it does a decent amount of armor piercing damage. However, you will probably have better options by then. But it can be okay for emergency situations if all you can recruit is low level lords against armies with a lot of infantry, like Skaven, Greenskins or Vampires. Killing Fire is a passive ability which triggers whenever you cast any spell from Lore of Hashut. It does 150 to 300 damage to all enemy units in a 55 meter radius. It's alright against early armies, but nothing game changing. Dark Subjugation is a single target hex, which reduces leadership by 8 and melee defense by 24. If overcasted, it decreases effect duration from 17 to 35 seconds. This spell has very low impact in campaign battles. Casting Dark Subjugation on enemy lords or heroes looks nice on paper. However, Chaos Dwarfs have way better options for dealing with strong single entities, like blunderbusses. Leadership debuff would be good if it was EOE, but routing 1 out of 20 to 40 units on a battlefield is just not worth it 6 winds of magic. Since you have to break a unit 3 times for it to shatter, it's way more likely you will kill it entirely by that point. Overall, Dark Subjugation is usually not worth spending skill points on. Ash Storm is one of the best spells in Hashut lore magic, and it perfectly synergizes with Chaos Dwarf's roster. Ash Storm is an EOE hex which applies movement speed debuff on enemy units by 25% and also weakness to fire damage plus 20%. This is the spell you want to spend 2 points on with every Hashut sorcerer to make it even cheaper. The best way to use Ash Storm is to pair it with gunline focused armies. Not only will it provide more time for your guns and artillery to shoot at slowed enemies, it will also give them extra damage since most of Chaos Dwarf range units do fire damage. It's just perfect combination. However, you should not overcast it. For 4 extra winds of magic, overcasted Ash Storm only extends its duration. 32 seconds of speed debuff is more than enough to hold enemy units where you want them, and if they are dedicated to keep advancing, they will walk out of it anyway. Curse of Hashut is a Spirit Leech type spell, but less effective. It's a direct damage with duration of 10 seconds or 16 if overcasted. It's designed for sniping enemy lords and single entities. However, it costs 2 winds of magic more than Spirit Leech, and since Chaos Dwarfs have access to that magic, there really is no reason to use Curse of Hashut over it. Also, as mentioned before, Chaos Dwarfs have plenty of tools to deal with single entities. All in all, it's not worth spending skill points. Hellhammer is an amazing wind spell which does a ton of damage in its path. It also leaves 1 second vortex on the ground for extra damage or 2 if overcasted. It's best to be used on big blobs of enemy units or to annihilate enemies engaged with your frontline, as it is absolutely precise and you can avoid hitting your own units. Hellhammer is not really worth overcasting. For 5 extra winds of magic, it only increases vortex duration by 1 second, but even non-overcasted version is very expensive at 15 winds of magic, and if you are looking for an army killer spell, there is even better option. Even it's a good spell, it's only really worth using with Astragot, as he can cast Hellhammer for 6 winds of magic. And finally, the best spell in Lore of Hashut, Flames of Asgore. With enough winds of magic, it can destroy multiple armies, unless it's a bunch of single entities. With 100% armor piercing and explosive damage, it doesn't matter which unit it hits, it will make a hole in it. Keep in mind that Flames of Asgore is a bombardment, and AI is really good at dodging such spells on higher difficulties. The best way to use Flames of Asgore is after enemy units are already locked in melee with your single entities. Send your lord or hero into enemy army, let them round up in a small circle and unleash destruction. Still, it's a very expensive spell for everyone except Drazoat, so use it with care. With cost of 18 winds of magic, it's hardly ever worth using on a single unit. And that's everything you should know about Lore of Hashut. Overall, it's very powerful and simple lore of magic to use.